Hey everyone, it's Shannon Keebler with Empower Consulting, and we're moving on to Unit 5. So first grade, if you are about ready to start Unit 5, you're going to need this routine. Make sure to check out my other videos because I've talked about the Volume 2 routines. For daily routines specifically, there's 3 new parts to that, so go check those out. You might be in Volume 1 still, but you're already maybe dabbling a little bit in Unit 5, or for whatever reason, you might need to go back and see Volume 1 routines. Go check those out. Feel free to visit me online at empowerlearngrow.com, where I have cheat sheets for you. And specifically, I've added student script cards. So now this will walk you through step by step how to say the routine, what to have your student leader say. It's very clear. I've tried to make them as simple as possible so that you could have success doing them and keep them consistent, and so your student leaders have success. So go check those out, grab your freebie, and then join me for Unit 5. So Unit 5 here, we're going to start on our whiteboard. And for Unit 5, we're going to keep our other 3 routines of counting from 90 to 120, counting on 20 more. But now we're going to add a routine called the Math Mountains and Equations. So a student leader would come up and a student leader would draw the math mountain, and then the student leader gets to choose what numbers he wants on the math mountain, but he's going to keep one of them a surprise. So he's going to have a missing addend. Now, if you've been teaching the other lessons, you know that there's a game called Number Grabber where they make a math mountain and the number grabber comes up and erases one part of the math mountain, and the class has to decide what number was taken. It's not a game format, but it's the similar idea. So I'm going to say that maybe our number today is 13. So I have 13 as my total. And then maybe I say that I don't know this number, but that's going to be my unknown, my missing addend. And then I'm going to have, let's say, 8 here. Okay, so the student leader would say, boys and girls, what are my equations? Now, this is up to you. You can have a student leader call on one student at a time. You can have the students turn and tell a neighbor, come up with 2 of the equations, come up with all 4, and have them do some turn and talk and practice rehearsal time. You could have them at this stage in the game, in this part of the year, have their whiteboards with them, and they have to generate all of the equations themselves. You decide, but do what is going to keep your kids engaged and have the most amount of thinking as possible. Calling on one student at a time is probably not going to be that best bet, but you do what fits for you. So I now have this equation, or this math mountain, and so I'm going to have students, once they've turned and talked, once they have them on their boards, however they've generated them, I'm going to say, what are the equations, class? And I'll call on a student, and a student might say, well, I know that 13 minus 8 equals unknown. You're right. So you might even label your math mountain like this. I think this is helpful. Before I go into the other equations, I just want to point out how unbelievably important this is that kids can do this, that they know the math mountain so well that they can mix up the parts. Math mountain, number bond, whatever you're using, right? But we want them to know the different ways that this particular model works. And that the largest number of the 3 will always be at the top. But it's not always the largest number in like a word problem, because maybe there's 13 apples and 8 green apples. How many apples do I have in all? Well, that number is going to get bigger than 13. But I do want them to know how to generate as many equations as they can from this math mountain, because as they use it to solve story problems, they'll be able to generate the equation that best suits their particular method. Okay, so I have 13 minus 8 equals unknown. Then I call on another student, and maybe they say, or you could do 13 minus unknown equals 8. So they would say 13 minus unknown equals 8. Another student, call on them. Or you could say unknown plus 8 equals 13. Right, unknown plus 8 equals 13. Or 8 plus unknown equals 13. So they're going to practice generate all these equations. You can say, class, read the equations with me. They could go through them again. But then now the student leader is going to say, class, what's the unknown? Think about it. And you're going to give students a moment to come up with the unknown. My guess is most of them have already decided what it is, figured it out as they generated their equations. But we're going to keep it as an unknown for this whole process until right now. Class, what's the unknown? Class, choral response. The whole class says 5. The student leader says, yes, it's 5. So he writes 5 in that unknown box. But now we go through and we say all of the equations and we insert 5 for the unknown. Class, read with me. 13 minus 8 equals 5. 13 minus 5 equals 8. 5 plus 8 equals 13. 8 plus 5 equals 13. Now, if any time is remaining in the routine, remember, all the routines together take 10 minutes. So if you're already at 10 minutes, you're done for the day and get into your lesson. If you still have a couple of moments, then you could turn it into a number talk, and you could have kids talk about how they knew what number went in here. So I started with 8 and I counted on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, stop at 13, right? So then I counted on 5. Or maybe they had, I did 8 and I counted on 2 more and that made a 10. And then I know 10 to 13 is another 3. So altogether I added 2 and 3 and that equaled 5. So you could use this time to talk about the strategies to come up with that number 5, but only if your 10-minute time allows you to. All right, everyone, that's Unit 5. Math Mountain Equations is what it's called. Student leader generates the equation. He generates which is unknown. So every day there's going to be a different unknown. Every day there's probably going to be even a different equation. So you decide, but have some fun with it. Let me know how it goes. Don't forget to subscribe to our videos, like them, comment, send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. And then be sure to check out online on my YouTube channel, because that's where I'm going to start posting the live videos of me doing this with kiddos. So right now, this is just my tutorial with you, but feel free to check that out so that you can see it done with live students and all the real things that happen in classrooms. So check out my website, empowerlearngrow.com.